Welcome back to another TradeOut's technical analysis video. We're going to go over some Bitcoin price action, talk about a setup that I actually shared on Twitter yesterday, and do a bit of follow-up from there. We're going to take a look at a chart that I think is really important when it comes to your trading bots. So for those of you that are still running trading bots, this chart that I'm going to go over, you definitely want to be aware of that as far as having a good idea whether or not altcoins are going to be a bit more on the bullish side or the bearish side. And then finally, we're going to take a look at a few altcoins to see if there's any interesting setups. So with that being said, let's get to the video. So this is, if I just flip over to my Twitter here, which by the way, if you don't follow me on Twitter, give me a follow. I'd really appreciate that. And I am sharing some charts there. Basically, I'm going to talk about this edge-to-edge trade that confirmed yesterday. You can see as soon as it confirmed, I actually put it on Twitter for everybody to see. And then talking about what specific targets I'll be looking for. I'm going to do a little bit more of a breakdown here in this video. But essentially, you can see I'm basically looking for around the 50K region. So I do think that Bitcoin has a nice chance to put in a bit of a move here. So it's a bit of a spoiler, I guess you could say. But going back to this Bitcoin chart, talk to you a little bit about the edge-to-edge trade and what I'm looking for. For those of you in VIP, by the way, we just dropped Ichimoku number 2, long-awaited video. Finally back to, I'm going to finish that module out, and it's going to be by far the largest module that we've done so far. There's going to be a ton of videos in that. But in that video that I just dropped, we talk about the optimal trading entries, which I think are really important, especially if you're new to using Ichimoku. I think it's a really awesome guide to kind of give you an idea, to kind of give yourself the best chance for getting into those trades that are, you know, again, have a higher probability of working out. So I think that is, again, very good video. And there will be a part 2 to that video dropping very soon as well. But anyway, back to this chart. Basically, keeping it real simple. Edge-to-edge trade, 3 things you're looking for. Number 1, price closing inside a cloud. That happened here previously twice. Next thing that you're looking for is a bullish TK cross, right? So in this instance, because we're looking for an edge-to-edge trade where price is coming up from underneath the cloud, you're looking for a move potentially to the opposite edge of the cloud here. So price, again, confirming inside a cloud, close only, bullish TK cross. And the third thing that you really want to see is this Chigu span above price. So as you can see right now, we have all 3 of those criteria. You have your close yesterday that closed inside a cloud, so that's number 1. Number 2, you do have a bullish TK cross here. Your blue Tenkan is bullishly crossed above your yellow Kijun. And then the third piece, you do have your Chigu span, which is above price. Okay, so you look at where your Chigu span is here, sitting just right around where your Kijun was back here, but it is above price. So you might ask, well, price has been in cloud twice before already. Why didn't you get that continuation move that you were looking for? So one thing I want to point out really fast too, we got our entry yesterday right here as soon as this candle closed and confirmed. And look at what we've done so far. If you zoom in, all we've done was we did have a bit of a move down after daily open. All we did was back test the edge of the cloud, and that held the support. So that's really good to see. Now there's also some lower things that happened on lower time frames. This also happened to coincide with the local golden pocket and a few other levels. Like there's really good confluence here for this support holding, and this is a level that you really want to see held as, you know, again, looking for a continuation move to the upside. So you might ask yourself, well, again, we had 2 previous closes inside a cloud. Why didn't, like, what happened there, right? Why didn't we get a confirmation there? Well, we can go back to this region, just do a very quick kind of a breakdown of why these previous ones didn't work out. So, okay, so there's your first close inside a cloud. What did you have? You had price closing inside a cloud. Chigu span was very obviously above price here, but you do not have your bullish TK cross yet. So this is not an entry. Play it forward a little bit. Still not crossed, still not crossed. Again, I'm watching this. So, and there you go. So price exits cloud. You didn't have your setup. Anybody who front ran this signal or this trade setup and didn't wait for confirmation got absolutely wrecked. So now let's fast forward again, make it a little bit faster. So now if you look, you got your bullish TK cross. Now obviously price is below, but what's happening? Look at your Chiku span. It is now below price. All right, so keep that in mind. So let's fast forward a little bit. Okay, so here price closes inside a cloud again. Are you ready to take an entry here? Well, price close inside a cloud. That's step one. Step two, bullish TK cross. Hey, looking pretty good. But unfortunately, Chiku span is below price. So you do not have your confirmation again. So now we're going to fast forward and look. Oh my goodness, got ran over yet again. Everybody front running the signal, being impatient, now waiting for confirmation because they think price is moving higher, which by the way, look at your Seiko span B up here, negative slope. It's not really a good thing. And wrecked. So anybody who tried to take that breakout trade got wrecked. Now let's fast forward to today, or rather yesterday. Okay, so again, here, same thing. Okay, you didn't have that confirmation, so you did not close. So this was an important one too. So you had your closure inside a cloud, you had your bullish TK cross, but Chiku span did not confirm. It did not close above. So again, it ended up closing above, but on this candle, which we needed on this March 20th candle, you needed this candle. So not this one. All right, I mean, so you can see. Not this candle, but this candle here needed to close inside of cloud. If that had happened, you would have had your entry. But this candle that you needed to confirm this full setup, closed below cloud, so no go. So that's 3 times. And now obviously till today. So yesterday's candle, this was the entry. You have all 3 criteria. Price closing inside a cloud, bullish TK cross, Chiku span obviously above price. Now you're looking for that potential setup, right? So a couple of things that I want to point out. You've had multiple attempts inside a cloud. You can see, again, if you're using that specific edge-to-edge setup and the criteria that you need to take that entry, it's important to wait for confirmation. You front ran it, got ran over. Now you're actually got that trade, right? So patience pays off again. This trade setup might not work out. Definitely could happen, right? It might not work out, but at least you waited until you got confirmation and you didn't have 3 losses trying to front run it just so that you can get in early. Because one thing that does happen, and I know why people might want to front run this, which I'll tell you, I think it's a bad idea, is that sometimes when you get, by the time you get the edge to edge confirming, sometimes it'll, like, the risk reward won't be there. And what I mean by that is price might have ripped up a bunch already, and then as far as like the type of invalidation you use and you know, like the way that you would trade that, essentially the risk reward just might not be there. Now I'm not going to go into the full detail about everything else regarding the edge to edge trades because it's going to make this video way too long, but it is, again, for those of you VIP, that edge to edge module will be coming out very, very, very soon. I'm actually already working on it. So the target, now again, told you essentially how to get your entry. Got the entry yesterday, same one I posted on Twitter. Why am I looking for 50K? Well, it's quite simple. I'm basically looking for the flat edges of the Kumo up here. Okay, so this one is at 51K. This secondary flat edge here, which is it's a lot shorter, obviously. It's just a hair below 50K. So that's why I just said 50,000. It's gonna be somewhere around there. Basically looking for somewhere in this neighborhood to get hit. Now, the beauty of this is this gives you time. So this is when you know that those targets aren't really valid anymore because Ichimoku is also time-based, right? So if you come here to the edge of the cloud and just put a horizontal here, a vertical line, you'll see that this vertical line on April 8th, okay, this is the edge of the, like, this is the very end of this really long flat Kumo, which I like to use for those edge-to-edge targets because flat Kumos often act as a magnet for price. So if price does indeed come up to this region, this is 100% a massive, massive, massive take profit. And again, if this is your entry and you're trading this specifically for edge-to-edge, that is the ultimate target. So it's kind of giving you an idea of how that works. But now I'm going to break things down a little bit more using some other methods of trading, okay, not just Ichimoku. One thing that I love to do is I love ranges, absolutely love ranges. Ichimoku, not very good for ranges. You get wrecked a lot, which guess what? This is a very big range that we're in. So it's no surprise, again, getting some fake out signals here. That's what tends to happen sometimes. Looking at kind of things on the bigger picture though, we obviously had a very big downtrend from your 69K top. Nasty downtrend, not much relief there. And finally, like, this is looking like it's trying to put in a really, really nice base for a potential reversal, right? So the edge to edge trade is just one of those things that will happen as, again, like, price starts to bottom out. You start to form this specific type of setup. This is one of those things that's saying, hey, like, there's a change of behavior. We might not just be, you know, straight down anymore. We're putting in a nice base. Now, I'll talk about potential downside targets here in a minute if this ends up failing, which I guess I can just do right now. One thing that you do not want to see is you don't want to see price lose cloud. That basically invalidates the setup, especially if you come below your Kijun here, just because it lines up really closely with the bottom of your cloud. That wouldn't be very good. But what you don't want to see is the following. First of all, cloud is still bearish. Okay. If price starts to lose Kijun and you get the Tenkan bearishly crossing your Kijun, that would be a bearish TK recross below cloud. That would be very, very, very bearish if that was to happen. If those things happened, I would be targeting significantly lower. I think that we probably come back. So like even just taking Ichimoku off just for a second. This is just one massive range, which if you go back, I don't remember. I did this video in like May of last year or something, and I had like talked about like the possibility of this ending up putting in some kind of range like this, which is really crazy. It was more of like a joke, but the funny thing, it's crazy to actually think that it played out this way so far. But I want to highlight a region that is really important. That is like a very important support. It's basically around 31 to 28K. So it's really this range low here, about a little bit like mid 28, 29K. That's obviously going to be like a very critical level. You breach that level, you're breaching major macro structure. You really got big problems. Although I will say, like, there's going to be, if you're in VIP, you already know like how we're looking to trade this at levels that I'm looking for. But let's just say that we're probably going to revisit some lower levels. I think it's pretty likely. So again, that's getting, if you got this bearish TK recross below cloud, essentially this edge trade failing, things would start to roll over again. I do think you probably get a pretty significant follow through from that. But as it stands, again, this is a bullish setup. So this is a setup that we're looking for, again, about 50K. Now, Ichimoku doesn't care so much. Like when you're taking this setup, you're looking for those targets. You're not really caring about what's in between. For myself, I really like to use horizontals, and I'm a level to level trader, like preferably. So there's going to be resistances in between here and 50K. There's 100% like pretty significant resistances. You have yearly open that's in between there. You have this range that we traded in for a month, which I'll just show you. Like you basically have this level right here. And this is, I'll just mark this off as your range low. So this range that we were trading in, all right. So basically you have this range that we were trading in from December, once you made this wick down, all the way until January. So it's basically almost exactly a month long. Beautiful, amazing range. You even had the swing failure pattern of this high that sent you lower. I mean, it was like amazingly technical, right? Once this range broke to the downside, so just to be real clear, the range that I'm talking about is this range here that we, again, month-long price action that we were trading here. We broke down from that. What's been the resistance? Well, that's strange. It's your range low, right? We broke down from this, obviously came down to revisit just below 33K. Where did you find resistance at? Twice now, this range low. Mid 45K, huge, massive resistance level, right? Zoom in. So again, let me just turn this off so you can see it very clearly. What was once support breaks down. resistance, 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 and you have not been able to get back above that yet. Turn your cloud back on, you can see where that range low comes in. It's basically the midpoint of this cloud, right? What I want to see is if the price does come up to challenge this again, I want to see a clean reclaim of this. That would inspire confidence that this edge-to-edge setup is actually going to play out in full. I think if you see this, the odds of this playing out increase like exponentially, I would say. What I don't want to see, again, if you're trading edge to edge, you don't care about this level. You're literally, that's your setup. You have your validation and you have your target. It's that simple. You're not worried about this other stuff. But being a trader that trades in multiple ways, I would be lying if I said that there wasn't any kind of resistance from here to 50K, okay? So obviously, and there's other, again, I said yearly open, I think it's around 46 something. You can pull essentially fixed range, looking at this, like this month-long range here. You see where your point of control is sitting, basically 47K. There's a lot of other resistances here. Value area low is going to line up pretty close to where yearly open is. You get my point. There's going to be a lot of resistance once you get back above this range low. And even coming up to this range low, there's a lot of resistance around 44, 44.5, as you can see here. Like, look at your candle closures here. It tells you like what's being defended, okay? So there's a whole lot of problems between this range low and getting up to hitting your target. That doesn't mean it ain't going to happen. But I want to be realistic and say, hey, like there's going to be pretty substantial resistance if this is broken. So I told you what I wanted to see. What I wouldn't want to see is the following. A break. So again, maybe we break and then lose the range low again. So this would start to look like a deviation, right? You see something like that, acceptance back below this range low. That wouldn't be the most bullish setup, I guess you could say, that I would want to see as far as that edge to edge continuing. That doesn't mean that it's not going to, but I'm just showing you, breaking things down a little bit more, kind of like what to pay attention to. So again, getting acceptance back into this month-long consolidation would be very good, and I think really does open up for a move higher. Which, by the way, I mean, we retested this multiple times already. So I think if we do come up and test it again, I think, you know, the more times that you test it, I think you have a better chance of actually breaking and holding above this level. So again, 45.5, very important level. That's really the level that I'm interested in here. Now, there's definitely, I'm gonna make this video 2 hours long if I go through every single level, but that's a very important one. Here, below that, one very simple thing that I like to do is basically pull my range levels. Now, what do you see? So if you look at the point of control, and I'm just looking, so again, you had your month-long range here, which is such a good range to trade. Broke down, and now you're forming a very, you know, substantial size range, and it's starting to consolidate, essentially. So like you're not getting like those full rotations to low, you are getting the rotations to the upside. So you can make an argument about what type of formation this is. Quite honestly, to me, it's just a range. And I prefer to keep it simple. So what do you notice about the point of control, which is this big red line that's going across? Well, it coincides quite nicely with that back test of yesterday, right? And this is a very important level that I would want to see held. This is a very important level. So holding this point of control here, basically 42K, let's just call it, very important. There is not a lot of volume support below that, which if you go back and if you've been trading this range, you'll know. Look at these crazy moves. We have like these Bart-like moves that hasn't built up. It doesn't spend any amount of like real significant time. You see this big volume void here in between this point of control, and this is almost a secondary point of control, high volume node, call it what you want, but this is you know, this is a very, very big support level. Which is coming in. You can kind of see how much price action got put in around here. There's not a lot in between that. You see big moves up, big moves down, big moves up, big moves down. Like there's not a lot that goes on here. So losing this point of control and coming back within this region, again, I think it just opens up the doors for another quick test down here. So that I will say. But that's a level, again, to pay attention to. I think if you lost this level here, you start to trade below this level, which is your value area low of this range. So basically 38,500, you start to trade below this, then going back to Ichimoku, you have this to worry about, which would give you that bearish TK cross below cloud. And that to me, again, really opens up the floodgates. So I just wanted to give you like a few different things to pay attention to that I'm paying attention to. Obviously, if you're VIP, we are paying attention to this. But for the time being, okay, I know I went over a few different scenarios, but for the time being, the one trade that I'm looking for right now is this edge-to-edge trade. That's the trade that's in front of me. That's the trade that, you know, again, typically when I get these setups, especially, you know, like on higher time frames, like a daily time frame, those are the ones that I like to trade. So that's what I'm looking for. But make no mistake about it, there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of resistance in between here and 50K. So we're very likely not just going to get that in one candle. But just be paying attention to this level. Obviously, there's other levels here throughout this. I don't want to like have an extremely messy chart, but that's basically what I'm looking for on BTC. So let's go over to, I want to go over ETH BTC. So this is Link. I'm actually in a pretty nice long position on Link. Maybe I'll go over it if I have time. But ETH BTC, again, this is another thing that we've been following in VIP. That is very important. Kind of for like from the last stream where we were looking at a breakdown. Sorry, it was a breakdown, a breakout of this trend line. So very simple technical analysis method, nothing super crazy here, but obviously you have a very clean, well-defined trend line, right? And watch this trend line break. What happens? Well, price comes up from this lower point of control, which is actually, this is the point of control. This, I like to mark these as a secondary point of control. I'm not going to get super into it, but if you want to call this a high volume node, feel free. It's basically these points of controls are switching, depending on what price is doing. So anyway, price comes up through here. Look at that support. So again, you get your break, retest, support, reclaim your point of control. So this, we didn't even talk about this since the last time we looked at ETH BTC, but you got that push up, back test of your point of control, flawless back test. Zoom in, look at that, wick, candle close, push off. And so far, that's where we're at. What have altcoins been doing since this took place? So again, looking back over the last week or so, how have altcoins been doing? So for those of you in trading bots, altcoins are doing much better than they were for quite a while before that, right? Like altcoins in general are looking much better. There are some that are still lagging. There are, you know, like, but overall, the environment for altcoins has been much more positive. I think that will continue as long as you are above this point of control. This is a very important level. Like, look how technical this is. Even like this, at this stage in this range, which this range, I mean, if I zoom out, this range started back here in May of last year. We've literally been in this range. These levels to me are very well defined. I think they're critically important. Kind of like delete this just for a second. A push up, as long as you're above this high volume node / secondary point of control, as long as price remains above this, I consider like I think alts are likely to continue showing strength. A push up to this value area high here, this is the next real resistance for ETH BTC. I think if you get this push up here though, you will see alts very likely continue to show strength and probably be really good for any deals that you might have been stuck in for a while. Obviously a reclaim of this level. So if ETH BTC is able to come up and again start reclaiming and trading back above this, that's best. I think again, this is like best case scenario for altcoins is what you want to see for that continuation higher. And to be fair, there's a lot of altcoins that are having not only like decent moves, but there's a lot of like pretty nice setups. So anyway, that's ETH BTC. This is the chart that if you look at how altcoins have been doing, this is a pretty good representation of how not only altcoins are doing, but your trading bots as well, right? If you're running a bunch of long bots, look at this, look at the date. So look at this high that ETH BTC put in. It's December 9th. That is the high. What happened 5 days before that? right? We had that big crash on BTC, huge crash. A few days later, ETH BTC puts in its top. And how have altcoins been this entire, like, look how bearish this is. How have alts done during this period right here? Pretty bad, right? Stuck in deals for a long time, not really a lot of movement. Things got really boring. I mean, for trading, it's outstanding. I'm not complaining remotely about trading, but with trading bots, especially if you're more the passive type, well, you're passive type, you probably don't really care that much. But for those of you who are like a bit more active, like this isn't an optimal environment to be running long bots. It just isn't, right? Depending, obviously, especially if you're running it from the high. If you're running it from below, then and maybe it's not as bad. But for those of you wondering, like, holy crap, been stuck in my bots forever, this is a pretty good indication of why that is. Look at, again, breaking major downtrend resistance, reclaiming point of control, showing strength here, looking for continuation to the upside. How are your bots doing now? Probably a lot better. Maybe not quite where you want them to be yet, okay? I think if you get this push up here, I think you're going to be very happy, though. So that's what I'll say. ETH BTC, incredibly underrated chart. Reclaim of this, be looking for another test of this range high near the yearly open, 0.08. You see this, again, the bots are going to be having, you're going to be very happy about that. To the downside, breaking this low, this is the actual point of control, by the way. You break this point of control, basically taking out these lows here. So kind of like this zone. Below that, not good. I'm just going to say that. You take out this zone. So again, this is where support has been coming in. You got your breakout currently holding above really important support. Got your back test pushed off. This is really what you want to see. You want to see that continuation to the upside, which I think it's more favorable at this point. Like, I think like it's in a pretty good spot. Lose this region, then you start looking at a return back to the value area below your range. You lose this, then you start getting into this green zone, which, by the way, is like an important, huge, major, massive support level. But if ETH BTC is trading anywhere near at these levels, alts are probably getting devastated. Like, and your bot's probably not going to do very well unless you're running short bots. So I thought that I would just take a second here and go over ETH BTC, talk about the significance between this specific chart and your trading bots, and kind of give you, again, something to think about, and go back and take a look at this. And kind of, again, this to me is very correlated with how trading bots do. So one altcoin that I think is interesting is SRM. I'm a bit sad that I actually missed this trade. One thing that I did this year was I really narrowed down the amount of alts that I was looking at. But before, I would be scanning, like I would literally scan hundreds of charts throughout the week and like look for those setups. What I've done, which has been very beneficial, honestly, is I've picked a lot smaller subset of altcoins that I've been following, and like being very in tune with those charts and trading a smaller subset of charts, and it's done very well. But unfortunately, I missed trades like this, where you had a pretty nice edge-to-edge trade actually here. So again, looking at this, right, pretty nice edge-to-edge trade, got it. Price, now you have your bullish Kumo breakout. You see your Kumo is bullish here now. Chigu span is still inside a cloud. You really want to see this get outside a cloud, but overall, like, this is a very, very strong move to the upside. Very strong move. And this is on a 12-hour. For me, buying here is a bit questionable because it's pretty extended at the moment. Like, I mean, one thing that I want to point out though is your Tenkan and Kijun. Look at that steep angulation here on your cloud is really what you want to see. But this is a pretty extended move already. You switch to the daily. What do you have here? Well, that looks like an edge-to-edge trade to me, doesn't it? Now, there's no real, like, great target that, like, there's no real, like, clear, obvious targets. I want to see long, flat Kumo, similar to something like this, right? I like this, like, even longer is preferable. But regardless, today, going to very likely, I mean, in 45 minutes anyway, you're going to get this confirmation edge to edge. So I think Serum actually has like pretty nice potential upside. Thing about this, you look at kind of like how you would have to set this up. Like your invalidation, again, depends how you want to trade it, but it's pretty far away from where price is. Even a more conservative stop loss, if you want to do it, it's still really far away from price. What I would prefer to see is a bit of a pullback. So like, I think if you got a pullback over the next couple of days, I think that could give you a very, very, very nice entry. Not financial advice, obviously. Entering here though, now this thing could just continue and just rip upwards. It definitely could happen, but to me, this is kind of chasing a little bit. This, like, the risk reward isn't that good. You know, if you found some lower time frame scalp opportunities and positioned yourself to the long side that way, then I think that's a bit more feasible if you want to be trading at these levels. But in terms of looking for a swing trade, for me, I think it's a little bit better. See if we get a bit of a pullback over the next couple of days. This is a pretty extended move. If it comes, I think give yourself a much better risk reward trade to the upside. But you can see there's a lot of room here for expansion. So that is SRM. I'm probably going to go just over Cardano and wrap it up because I don't want to make this video too long. I would like to do these more frequently. I've been very busy, obviously. But, you know, if this video, there's a lot of likes on it, I would appreciate that, of course. But that would also signify to me that people are actually interested in this. And if that's the case, then yeah, I probably will do these quite a bit more frequently. Cardano, another real simple. Look at this trend line. Very simple. 3 beautiful touches. You have a perfect trend line. What happens? Price size breaks it. You even get a little bit of a back test on today's candle. And now you're actually breaking through this. So this red zone of resistance, basically the underside of this consolidation, this range that got put in here, being above here is a pretty big deal. Now what I would do is honestly switch this to support. Like, this is a level that I really want to see held. Consolidation is fine. Don't really want to see it trading back below $1 around there. Because then, yeah, I do think you could get a bit of a deeper pullback. If you'll leave it at that. But as long as you're above this green zone, I think it's pretty good. Looking to come back and test the underside of this range low, right? So trading this range yet again. So looking at it from this perspective, there is pretty significant resistance here though. And you have to excuse all the lines. I didn't have time to clean up my chart. But basically, if you get acceptance back above this range low at about $1.18.5, so again, I still think that there's a bit of room for continuation. You probably get a little bit of a, I would say you probably get a bit of a pullback here around this range low. Get acceptance above this though. This is pretty substantial resistance. So this is the 236 fib retracement from the all-time high down to this major massive low. 236 lining up with this local golden pocket. Range equilibrium, monthly SR level. I mean, there's a lot going on here. I think that this is probably going to be pretty stiff resistance on first test if you even make it that high. Break above this, then you start testing some higher levels. And again, we'll come back to this if Cardano continues to progress. The thing that I wanted to talk about though is holding this level, which by the way, we covered this in a VIP stream. This 74-cent level, just below 75 cents. Perfect touch here on February 24th. And then this key level holding up perfectly, right? Perfectly giving you, like, leading to this ultimate breakout. The thing that's beautiful about this, which I didn't take this trade, I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm not like let's just say that there are other alts that I prefer to trade versus Cardano. But the thing that I loved about this setup is that, yes, the trend is insanely bearish. Yes, you are in a massive downtrend, but this is a very easy level that if you break this level, you know that your invalidation for a long is probably hit, right? The risk reward for trading this level is pretty good, but the most important thing, again, the invalidation for looking for long setup here is very cut and dry. You lose this red line here, it would probably be over for Cardano for a long time. This level is still relevant though. So if you don't have this on your chart, it's literally just about 75 cents, just a hair below that. If Cardano trades below this price anytime in the future, I think that you still will have significant downside. If you zoom out, it's this, right? I'm gonna spend a ton of time on this, but you have this key level here just below 40 cents. Nice consolidation, puts in some time around here, builds up some support, right? So again, breaking out. If this gets back tested, I do think you probably get a really nice bounce coming out of here, but that's obviously 38 cents. There is nothing here. It literally breaches this, which was, by the way, a previous high. So on this chart, the previous high of this chart perfectly, right? It's amazing where you find resistance at. Once it broke, it was blue skies above. There is no support really that's built upon a move like this. So fast forward to today, okay? What I think is very likely to happen is that if you lose this level, so let's say, again, this is not really relevant now because you're getting a really nice bounce off this levels. You're reclaiming, you know, what was once resistance into support. This is looking really good, but I'm just saying if over the, you know, maybe over the next few months, maybe price ends up breaking down. I don't know. I'm just drawing a bunch of squiggly lines, but getting acceptance below this, I think is likely to get a push down to this key level, which again, really ugly lines. But the point is losing this level here, which you can see was defended very like flawlessly. You start to get acceptance below this level. I don't even know if you get a back test to short, to be honest with you. But this is like, that's a 48% move lower. Now, irrelevant to what's happening here, but just something to keep in the back of your mind in case the market decides to turn the other direction again. You should be aware of this level. But for the time being, as much as I don't know, not a massive Cardano fan, but I'm bullish on Cardano as it sits. Breaking this downtrend line, reclaiming previous resistance. Now, what I want to see, to kind of get rid of these stupid squiggly lines here, just give me a second. What I really want to see though, is I want to see this held to support. So we're going to come back down, put in a little bit of a range here, showcasing that this is holding a support. Then yes, I do think that you probably get this test up to range low and maybe even all the way up in here into this golden pocket. From there, that would be target hit. I probably want to evaluate. This is a very big level in my opinion. So that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, if you could leave a like, leave a comment, I'd greatly appreciate it. Let me know what you thought about it. And if you want me to do more of these updates, obviously if you're in VIP, we'll see you in chat. But hopefully everybody here has a great day. Trade safe out there. We'll see you on the next one.